there in Osceola? If you're speaking, I can't hear you.
But, sorry. Yes, we can hear you fine, Judge. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm Judge Yansevich. We're going to go ahead and get started. When I call your name, please come on up to the microphone where the attorney tells you to stand. Hold on, we're having technical issues. All right, maybe is that better?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So when I call your name, please come on up to the microphone where the either the corrections officer or the lawyer tells you to stand. I'm going to ask you to say your name. I'm going to tell you the reason why you've been detained, whether or not there's probable cause for that detention, and I'll tell you what the conditions of your release will be, if any. We are being recorded. You have the right to remain silent. Anything that you say can be used against you. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford to hire an attorney, I will appoint one for you if you qualify. We don't have court dates necessarily for the cases that we are talking about today. Just keep in touch with either your lawyer or the clerk's office so that you can get your next court date and you don't miss court and end up with a failure to appear. We're going to go ahead and get started. Appearances from the state.
Sarah Castro on behalf of the state.
From the public defender.
Peter Schmier on behalf of the Public Defender Office.
And from pretrial release.
Officer Pat Hill on behalf of PTR.
Thank you. Ms. Hill, I didn't get all the sheets on time when I was reading everything, so I may ask you a couple of questions, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Justin Beaulieu. Is he there? Justin Nicholas Beaulieu? Jonathan, sorry. Jonathan. Apologize. Good morning, sir. Please say your name.
Jonathan Boyer.
Okay. Sir, you were arrested on a warrant. It looks like violation of probation out of Hillsborough County. I'm going to make sure that the jail knows that you were picked up, and Hillsborough will come and pick you up from there. And your bond is set at $0. Thank you. No, I'm sorry. Wait, your bond is set at $1,000.
Set $1,000.
It's $1,000. It is. So if you can post that, you can get out of the Osceola County Jail. Thank you. Nicholas Bowen. Good morning. Please say your name.
My name is Nicholas Bowen.
Mr. Bowen, you were arrested on a warrant out of Brevard County, VOP, reckless driving. The bond is set at $0. We'll let Brevard know that we have you and they'll come pick you up, okay? Thank you. Angel Encarnacion.
Judge, he's a Spanish speaker, Judge.
All right, do we have an interpreter on the line?
Yes, Your Honor. This is Astrid Rodriguez, certified Spanish interpreter. Your Honor, I have not been sworn in today.
Okay, Ms. Rodriguez, if you'll please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that you will well and truly interpret from English to Spanish and Spanish to English to the best of your training and experience?
I do.
Thank you. We have Mr. Angel Encarnacion Torres. Can you ask him if he can hear you, please?
Señor Ángel Encarnación Torres, ¿me escucha?
Sí.
Yes.
Mr. Smart, can we have him step a little closer to the mic, please?
Si podría acercarse un poco más al micrófono, por favor.
Okay. Please say your name.
Sí.
Diga su nombre, por favor.
Ángel Encarnación.
Ángel Encarnación.
Sir, you were arrested for aggravated assault with a weapon.
Señor, usted ha sido arrestado por agresión agravada con arma.
There is probable, well, arma with a weapon, it wasn't alleged to be a gun. I just want to make sure the interpreter knows that. Can arma also be used for weapon and not just gun?
Yes, Your Honor. It could
Okay.
be for anything. If it was a knife, it would be arma blanca. If it's a deadly weapon, it would be arma mortífera. So it's just a weapon.
Thank you. I just wanted for clarification.
Okay, Your Honor, no
Okay.
worries.
So there is probable cause,
Hay
and
motivo fundado.
bond will be stated $1,500.
La fianza permanecerá en $1,500.
With pretrial release.
con libertad previa a juicio.
no contact with victim
Se le prohíbe tener contacto con la víctima
or the victim's wife,
o la esposa de la víctima.
do not possess any weapons or firearms.
Se le prohíbe tener en su posesión armas o armas de fuego.
Do you need a public defender?
¿Necesita usted un defensor público?
¿Cómo?
What?
Do you need a court-appointed lawyer, or are you going to hire a private lawyer?
¿Necesita usted que se le asigne un defensor público o va a contratar usted un abogado particular?
Perdón, no entendí.
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
You have the right to an attorney. If you want to hire your own lawyer and pick who you want, you can do that. Or if you can't afford a lawyer, I will appoint a lawyer for you if you qualify.
Usted tiene el derecho a un abogado que le represente. Si usted cuenta con los recursos y desea contratar un abogado particular, usted podría hacerlo. Si usted no cuenta con los recursos, yo podría nombrarle un defensor público si usted califica.
What would you like to do?
¿Qué desea hacer usted?
Sí, no tengo los recursos por ahora.
Yes, well, I currently do not have the resources at this time.
Okay, so the public defender will be provisionally appointed.
Se le asignará al defensor público provisionalmente.
And we don't know your next court date yet, but we'll let you know.
Aún no sabemos la fecha de su próxima audiencia, pero se le dejará saber.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Anybody else in Osceola for Spanish?
Judge, we have 3 more people.
Okay,
May I go in order of the docket?
Okay.
Israel Garcia Marsan,
all right, we'll start with him. Israel Garcia Marsan. Good morning, please say your name.
Buenos días, señor. Por favor, diga su nombre.
Israel García.
Israel García.
Mr. Garcia, you were arrested for aggravated assault on a person 65 years or older.
Usted fue arrestado por agresión agravada a una persona de 65 años de edad o más
And I find that it's domestic.
y encuentro que es violencia doméstica.
Ms. Hill, I have a question on the new PTR sheet.
Yes, Your Honor.
3/4 of the way down, it says qualifies for direct PTR, yes or no. But where does it say if they qualify for any PTR?
On the staff notes underneath that, it has bond with PTR.
Okay, so if the person qualifies for judge release on PTR, you would recommend it.
Yes, Your Honor.
And if it's not recommended, that would mean the person doesn't qualify?
Yes, Your Honor, and we normally will write does not qualify, or if they do qualify, under the staff notes.
On staff notes, okay. I'm just trying to get familiar with the new sheet because it's different than the one we used to use.
Yeah, we're trying to get familiar with it ourselves.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Garcia, that conversation I was having with PTR was not about your facts specifically.
Señor García, la conversación que tuve previamente con Libertad Previa a Juicio no tenía que ver necesariamente con su caso, ni era sobre su caso en particular.
It was a question I had about some paperwork that they prepare.
Era una pregunta que yo tenía sobre unos formularios que ellos preparan.
So I've read the affidavit in your case and I find probable cause for your detention.
He leído el affidavit en su caso y encuentro motivo fundado para la acusación.
And based on what I've read, I'm setting your bond at $2,000
Basado en lo que he leído, voy a fijar su fianza en $2,000
with pretrial release supervision,
con supervisión del Departamento de Libertad Previa a Juicio.
no contact with the victim,
Se le prohíbe tener contacto con la víctima.
no return.
Se le prohíbe regresar al lugar de los hechos.
You can have a one-time assist order if you need to get your clothing and your personal items.
Usted podrá regresar una vez solamente acompañado con un oficial de la ley si necesita recobrar algunos efectos personales.
Do not possess any weapons or firearms.
No puede tener en su posesión armas o armas de fuego.
Do you need a public defender?
¿Usted necesita un defensor público?
Yes, ma'am. Sí,
Yes,
señora.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I think that he may speak English. Do you speak English, sir?
Yes, I speak both.
Okay, thank you. Public Defender's Office will be provisionally appointed.
Se le asigna a la Oficina del Defensor Público provisionalmente.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Mr. Schmer, who was next in Spanish?
Jose Perez.
Okay. I'm getting there. All right. Sir, please say your name.
Señor, diga su nombre, por favor.
José Humberto Pérez.
And Mr. Perez, do you need
José
an
Alberto
interpreter?
Pérez.
Do you need an interpreter?
Señor Pérez, ¿necesita usted un intérprete?
Sí,
Yes.
Okay, it sounded to me like you spoke English.
Me pareció que usted habló en inglés.
I speak a little bit English.
I can't understand you.
Yes, a little bit of English.
Where are you from?
No le-
The interpreter had cut out.
Puerto Rico.
My apologies, Your Honor. The interpreter did not hear what the defendant stated.
Yeah, because the mic is cutting out. I hate this, remote via remote setup is horrible. All right, let me ask him in English, and if he doesn't understand, we can ask him in Spanish. Mr. Perez,
Yes,
where
sir.
are you from?
Puerto Rico.
Okay, your police report says you were born in New York. Is that correct?
Judge, if I may, I have reason to believe that there are competency issues with Mr. Perez.
Understood. Mr. Perez, were you born in New York?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, so, let's use the interpreter just in an overabundance of caution, but I believe he understands English sufficiently. But I want to make sure he hears it both ways.
Creo que sí entiende suficiente el inglés, pero para asegurarnos esto y por cautela vamos a utilizar la intérprete para asegurarnos que sí entiende todo lo que se le está diciendo.
So you were arrested for occupied burglary, criminal mischief over 200 but under 1,000, and resisting without violence.
Usted fue arrestado por allanamiento de morada ocupada, por daños en propiedad ajena sobre $200 y resistir un oficial sin violencia.
I find probable cause.
Encuentro motivo fundado.
All bonds will be stayed,
Todas las fianzas permanecerán como ya fueron fijadas.
do not return to the scene,
No puede regresar usted al lugar de los hechos.
no contact with the listed victims,
No puede tener contacto con las víctimas que han sido enumeradas en el documento.
no possession of weapons or firearms,
Se le prohíbe tener armas o armas de fuego.
and I'm revoking your release in all the other CF cases that you have pending.
Y le voy a revocar la fianza en todos los otros casos de delitos graves o CF que usted tiene pendiente.
19 CF 2160,
19 CF 2160,
18 CF 3262,
18 CF 3262,
18 CF 4501,
18 CF 4501,
19 CF 1821,
19 CF 1821,
18 CF 2860,
18 CF 2860
and 19 CF 638.
y 19 CF 638. 638, Your Honor?
Yes. Does the
638.
public defender wish to be appointed in this case?
¿El defensor público desea ser asignado en este caso?
Mr. Schmer?
I'm sorry, yes, please.
Okay.
I thought you were asking the
No,
client.
I'm asking you simply because of the concerns that you raised. PD will be appointed on the new law charge.
Se le asignará al defensor público en, en el nuevo
Thank you.
caso. Gracias.
And what was the next one in Spanish?
Mr. Eric Sepulveda Torres.
Eric Sepulveda Torres. Good morning, please say your name.
Buenos días, diga su nombre, por favor.
Eric Sepúlveda.
Eric Sepulveda.
Mr. Sepulveda, you were arrested for possession of a controlled substance without prescription and possession of paraphernalia.
A usted se le arrestó por tenencia de una sustancia controlada sin receta y adminículos para las drogas.
I find probable cause.
Encuentra motivo fundado.
PTR, does he have any failures to appear or prior drug arrests?
Se le pregunta a libertad
Yes, Your
previa
Honor,
juicio
he
si
has-
tiene
Hold
previos.
on. Ms. Hill, hold on.
Se le pregunta a libertad previa juicio si tiene casos previos o casos donde falló en comparecer al tribunal.
Okay.
He has 11 priors. He has a conviction of possession of marijuana in 2016. Another conviction, possession of marijuana, 2016. Possession of marijuana conviction, 2018. Smuggling contraband into a detention facility, 2018. Possession of cocaine, 2019, and tampering. He does have a charge out of Puerto Rico for aggravated robbery, which does disqualify him for direct PTR.
Tiene 11 casos previos. En el 2016, en el 2016 tenía posesión de marihuana, otro caso en el 2016 por posesión de marihuana, en el 2018 por posesión de marihuana, en el 2018 por introducir contrabando a una facilidad de detención, en 2019 tenencia de cocaína, interferir con un testigo en el 2019, y en Puerto Rico tenía un caso previo por robo agravado y no califica para libertad previa a juicio.
The PTR sheet that you sent me says he does qualify for PTR, direct PTR. It's circled yes.
I do understand that. We are still becoming familiar with this form. However, looking over his history, that one charge out of Puerto Rico would disqualify him.
Equivocadamente notamos en el formulario que calificaba para libertad previa a juicio, pero por esta acusación que tuvo en Puerto Rico no calificaría para libertad previa a juicio directo.
Does he qualify for bond with PTR?
Yes, Your Honor.
Califica para fianza con libertad previa a juicio.
And Mr. Sepulveda, I neglected to tell you, you're also in custody on a driving without a valid license charge, and there's probable cause for that.
Señor Sepúlveda, faltó decirle también que está usted detenido por manejar sin licencia válida y hay motivo fundado por esa acusación.
So the controlled substance bond will be $1,500 and the paraphernalia will be $100.
El caso por la sustancia controlada, la fianza será $1,500 y en el de los adminículos para la droga será $100 de fianza,
With pretrial release and weekly drug testing.
con libertad previa al juicio y pruebas de drogas semanal.
Do not possess or consume any illegal substances.
No debe poseer o consumir sustancias ilícitas.
The no valid DL charge will be $500 with pretrial release and no driving.
En el caso de manejar sin licencia válida, la fianza es $500, libertad previa a juicio y se le prohíbe conducir.
Do you need a public defender, sir?
Señor, ¿usted necesita un defensor público?
Sí.
Yes.
PD will be provisionally appointed.
El defensor público será asignado provisionalmente.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Anybody else in Spanish?
Just one last
¿Alguien más?
individual. He is a recall from yesterday, Mr. Elazir Jaimez Galindo.
Okay,
He's on the last page as a reset.
right.
I'd
Eliezer
ask you-
Jaimes Galindo.
I'd ask you to reset him because you denied bond as to the first charge and argue that The first charge is actually an F2.
Right.
We gave him a bond of 5,000
I,
on this second count.
yes. Sir, please say your name.
Señor, diga su nombre, por favor. Eliezer Jaime.
Okay, so I did get a copy of the arrest affidavit, so I was able to read what was said.
He recibido una copia de la affidavit del arresto, así es que he podido leer lo que se ha dicho.
As I indicated yesterday, the judge who signed the warrant found probable cause, but it came in as a zero bond.
Como dije ayer, el juez que firmó la orden de arresto encontró motivo fundado, pero el caso fue asignado con cero fianza.
And I found, I gave him a bond on count 2, but needed a reset to deal with count 1.
Yo le di fianza en el segundo cargo, pero necesitaba aplazar el caso para poder obtener más información en el primer cargo.
Now that I've read it, I'm prepared to rule on the bond, the question of the bond.
Ya que lo he leído, pues estoy preparada para tomar mi decisión en lo que se refiere a la fianza.
Bond will be set on count 1 at 5,000 as well.
La fianza en el primer cargo será fijado en $5,000 también.
I'm going to order absolutely no contact with the listed victim.
Se le prohíbe tener contacto en absoluto con la víctima que ha sido nombrada
And you may not return to JR's Social Club.
y se le prohíbe a usted regresar a la JR Social Club.
And then I believe yesterday I appointed the public defender already.
Creo que en el día de ayer ya le había asignado el defensor público
And your next court date will be on demand.
y su próxima audiencia será a próximo aviso.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Gracias.
So
Thank
that's-
you.
That should be all for Spanish, yes? For Osceola.
Yes, Judge.
Great. All right, so we'll let the interpreter go for now. We'll call you back when we're ready to start the Orange Counties.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mitchell Feaster. Good morning, please say your name.
Mitchell Feaster.
Mr. Feaster, you were arrested for domestic violence battery. I've read the affidavit and there is probable cause. Your bond will be set at $1,000 with pretrial release, no contact with the victim, no return. However, it looks like you're on probation in 18 MM 3667. 18 MM 3667. Your probation's due to expire July 16th. Let me just take a look real quick at this again for dates. Yep. So I find an on-view violation of probation, probable cause exists. You're remanded in 18 MM 3667 for VOP. Bond is provisionally set at 0. Do you need a public defender, Mr. Feaster?
So I can't. So if I burn out, I still be in here for the VOP.
Yes.
I just talked to him.
Do you need a PD, sir, or do you want to talk to a private lawyer?
No, I need a public defender.
Okay. PD will be appointed provisionally. Thank you. Harron Gibson. Good morning, please say your name.
Ryan Gibson.
Thank you. Mr. Gibson, you were arrested on a capias for failure to appear. Your bond is $5,000. Do you need a public defender?
Yes.
PD will be appointed provisionally. Thank you. Ashley Gingrich. Do you want me to just look them? Okay, I didn't know if you needed them for something.
She's on her way, Your Honor.
Okay. Good morning, ma'am. Please say your name. Ashley what? Can you say your last name for me, please? Gingrich. Thank you. Ms. Gingrich, you were arrested on failure to appear capias, 2 counts. Bond in count 1 is $6,000. Bond in count 2 is $100. Do you need a public defender? PD will be appointed provisionally. Thank you. Danny Gomez. Good morning, please say your name. Mr. Gomez, you were arrested for obstruction of public roadways, panhandling without a permit. There is probable cause. It appears you were also out on bond in 19 CF 2568. Your bond in the obstruction of public streets will be stayed at 500. Your bond in 19 CF 2568, or your release in that case, will be set at 0. Do you need a public defender? I'm sorry?
I didn't hear the last part, good. I couldn't hear the last part, I figured away.
Okay, the last part, do you need a public defender?
No, that part I heard.
All right, whatever the CO just did turned off the mic. I can't hear you at all now. Okay,
Right.
all right,
I didn't
so,
hear.
all right, I'll repeat it for you, Mr. Gomez. You're out on bond in 19 CF 2568. I'm revoking that bond, and it's now set at 0. Do you need a public defender?
Yes, Your Honor.
PD will be appointed provisionally. Thank you. Damon Ivy. Sir, have a seat. He'll talk to you when we're done. Good morning. Please say your name.
Mr. Damon Ivy.
I can't hear you. Please step closer to the mic if you can.
Damon Ivy?
Thank you, Mr. Ivy. You were arrested for possession of a weapon or ammunition by convicted felon. There is probable cause. Your bond is stayed at $4,000. Do you need a public defender?
Yeah.
PD will be appointed provisionally. Thank you.
Judge, on Mr. Ivy's case, I'm asking the court to consider lowering the bond. I'll admit that there is PC under the statute. A concealed weapon does encompass metallic brass knuckles, which Mr. Ivy allegedly had. However, the search was arguably improper. There he is a bona fide suppression issue, and I would ask you to consider that lowering his bond.
The request is denied without prejudice. A suppression issue does not affect the PC in this case. Thank you.
I understand.
Prince Johnson. Mr. Ivy, it's best that you keep it quiet. Good morning, sir. Please say your name.
Prince Johnson.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson, you have a couple of different police reports. You have an arrest for aggravated assault with a weapon and resisting without violence. You have a battery charge, a home invasion with a weapon charge, a kidnapping, false imprisonment charge, a tampering charge. You have another police report, possession of controlled substance without a prescription, possession of paraphernalia, and lastly, you have a booking report for fleeing and eluding. I read these carefully. I will say that I don't find probable cause for robbery, home invasion, but it is probable cause for armed burglary with a battery therein. So just we'll clarify that in a minute, but I wanted to make sure that Mr. Schmar, you knew that I was going to make that change. So ag assault with a deadly weapon, resisting without, there's PC. Bond will be $5,000 count 1, $1,000 count 2. There's battery, probable cause, bond will be actually it's battery domestic, bond will be $5,000. Count 2 in that booking report is, again, the court does not find probable cause for robbery, but instead for armed burglary with a battery therein. That bond will be set at 0. Kidnapping, there's probable cause, bond is $5,000. Tampering in a felony proceeding, that there is probable cause, bond is $5,000. All with no contact with the listed victim, not PTR because he doesn't qualify due to the nature of the charges. Possession, controlled substance, and possession paraphernalia, there is probable cause, bonds will be stayed. And fleeing and eluding, probable cause, bond will be stayed at $2,500. Do you need a public defender, Mr. Johnson? I'm sorry, sir, I couldn't hear your answer. PD will be appointed provisionally. And just so that we're clear, the no contact also means no contact from the jail, so no jail calls are allowed either. And your court date will be on demand. Thank you. Ms. Hill, that mic where the defendants stand is very low. Do you know if there's a volume setting? I don't mean low as in position, I mean low as in volume. Do you know if there's a volume
There is not
setting?
a volume.
Okay,
There is not, Your Honor.
all right. Bryant King? Mr. King, please say your name. Yeah, see, that was so faint, I couldn't even hear it. Can you say a little bit closer? That's better. Thank you very much. Mr. King, you were arrested for resisting without violence. There is probable cause. I'm gonna PTR you on this and order that you stay law abiding. Do you need a public defender?
No, ma'am.
All right, next court date will be, they'll let you know. Just keep in touch with the clerk's office, okay? Thank you. Straight PTR. Hakeem McGee. Good morning, please say your name.
Hakeem McGee.
Thank you. Mr. McGee, you have two booking reports. One is a warrant for failure to appear. That is set at 0. You have a new law violation report, false ID to law enforcement, tampering with evidence, and it says negligence with inflicting harm. Let me just look at that one again. I don't remember. Oh, yes, I remember it now. Negligent acts which cause the harm of other, and I find probable cause for those charges. Bonds will be stayed. I'm going to order no contact with the listed victim. Do not possess any weapons or firearms. He does not qualify for PTR supervision. Do you need a public defender?
Yes, ma'am.
PD will be appointed provisionally. Thank you. Eric Paris. Good morning, please say your name.
Eric Paris.
Thank you. Mr. Paris, you were arrested on a warrant out of Miami-Dade County. That warrant came already with a 0 bond. We'll let them know that we have you and they'll come pick you up, okay? Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Kevin Ramdat. Good morning, please say your name.
Morning, Kevin Ramdat.
Thank you. Mr. Ramdat, you were arrested for trespass of an occupied structure. There is probable cause. How long have you lived in Kissimmee?
For about a year now.
Okay. PTR says you qualify for PTR supervision release, so I'm going to release you PTR. I'm just going to order you not to go back to Old Town while you're on PTR. Do you need a public defender?
Yes, ma'am.
PD will be appointed provisionally. Thank you. Anthony Rodriguez Irizarry. Good morning, please say your name.
Anthony Rodriguez.
Mr. Rodriguez, you were arrested for obstructing public roadways, panhandling. There is probable cause. PTR says you have an extensive history. Ms. Hill, does he have any failures to appear?
He does not have any recent. The previous ones were 2014.
Any violent felonies?
Felonies, no, he has numerous battery domestics, but no felony batteries.
Mr. Rodriguez, I'm going to set your bond in this case at $250 plus pretrial release. And unless you're just walking by, you are not to loiter at the corner of John Young Parkway and 192. You are not to have any contact with Danny Gomez. Do you need a public defender?
Yes, ma'am.
PD will be appointed provisionally. Thank you.
Judge, Mr. Rodriguez Irizarry does want to resolve his case today. Would it be possible to give him a sentence?
My offer's 30
Or a couple
days. My offer's 30 days.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Stop mumbling or the offer's going to 60. I'm sorry, ma'am? Oh, the co-defendant? Yeah. Jamal Strong. Good morning, please say your name.
Jamal Strong.
Thank you. Mr. Strong, you are arrested for possession of cocaine, possession of K2 synthetic cannabis, possession of paraphernalia. There is probable cause. Ms. Hill, does he have any failures to appear?
He has one in 2016. That looks like that's the most recent.
Any possession of any drug charges, drug convictions?
Yes, Your Honor, he has a conviction of cocaine or controlled substance in 2018 March, and one in possession of, that looks like it was the only conviction. The other ones have been dropped.
Okay. Bond in count 1 will be stayed at $1,500. Count 2 will be $150. Count 3 will be $100 with pretrial release and weekly drug testing. Mr. Strong, do you need a public defender?
Yes, ma'am.
PD will be appointed provisionally. Thank you.
Hey, so ma'am, how much is my bond?
Bradley Williams.
50 and 100.
450.
I'll tell you after court.
Bradley Williams.
Bradley.
Good morning. Please say your name.
Bradley Williams.
Mr. Williams, you were arrested for petty theft and resisting merchandise recovery. I've read the affidavit. There is probable cause. PTR says you had a recent failure to appear in February, multiple recent other cases, and I know that you're out on bond at 19 MM 3273 because you have an arraignment with me that's supposed to be coming up in October. So your bond in the new charges will be 500 count 1, 100 count 2. Do not return to Walmart, and I'm revoking your release in 19 MM 3273 and setting it at a 0. Do you need a public defender?
Yeah.
PD will be appointed provisionally. Thank you. T. Ray Williams. Ms. Hill, is this an add-on?
No, Your Honor, he was picked up on this warrant at the same time the PTR revocation.
Got it. Okay, so they just didn't address this at the time they addressed the PTR revocation.
Right, they don't, because PC's already been found, they don't appear in initial appearance on
Right.
PTR revocations.
Understood, thank you. Good morning, sir. Please say your name.
T. Ray Williams.
Mr. Williams, you were arrested on a warrant for aggravated battery. The judge who signed the warrant found probable cause. Your bond is $2,500. I'm going to order no contact with the listed victim.
Ma'am, who is the listed victim? I haven't had no problems with anybody. I was wondering, I don't even know where this charge is coming from.
Dontavius Williams is the name of the listed victim in the charges that the state filed. Do you need a public defender?
Okay. Yes.
PD will be appointed provisionally, and do not possess any weapons, it says on the warrant. So 2,500, no contact, no weapons. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dale Dykes. Good morning, please say your name.
Good morning, Dale Kevin Dykes.
Mr. Dykes, you were arrested on an Orange County warrant, 2 counts, $1,000 count 1, which is, it looks like a scheme to defraud, and $500 count 2, unlawful use of personal identification. Bond is $500. If you can post that bond, you can get out of the Osceola County Jail. If you can't post it, then Orange County will come and pick you up. Do you need a public defender?
Yes.
PD will be appointed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ivan Villanueva.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. Please say your name.
Ivan Villanueva, Adorno.
Mr. Villanueva, the paperwork I have says you had a warrant that you were arrested for that came here out of Orange County. It was a failure to appear. So the judge who issued that capias set your bond at 0. We're gonna get you transported up
Yes,
to
ma'am.
Orange.
Ma'am, how do I go about it when I was in Orange County custody while I had that court date, ma'am?
Do you have a lawyer?
I do not. I have a public defender, I believe, in that matter.
Public defender is a lawyer.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so talk to your public defender, tell them where you were at the time that this court date came and went. They should be able to get that paperwork in front of the judge, and then they can see about your release if that's appropriate.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want a PD in, you have a PD in this case already, so we're good. Thank you. All right, Brentley Raymond Cummins. Now, yes.
Raymond Cummins.
Thank you. Was this one of the ones we reset from yesterday?
Yes, ma'am.
And I remember the state attorney here came up afterwards and asked, Judge, do I need to get you a copy of these, or will the PTR office do it? And the clerk said she'd print them out. This one I didn't get a printout for.
Oh.
So if we can maybe skip him for just a minute. Oh, actually, I don't know if this clerk would have access to benchmark, if we can get it. Does the state have a copy of the printout?
Yes, Your
The
Honor.
warrant?
Yes, Your Honor. May
Can
I
you approach? Yes.
It was in the packet of papers I received.
It wasn't in my packet.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
That's okay, thank you. So give me one moment to review this. No, this is the wrong guy. This is Eliezer Gomez. I got this one, but, Hymus, I got that one. We're talking about Brentley Cummins. Mr. Cummins, let me pass you for a second, have a seat, and I'll come back.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Sadie Wells. Okay, good morning, please say your name.
Sadie Wells.
Thank you. Ms. Wells, you were arrested for trespass, unoccupied conveyance, trespass and conveyance, resisting without violence, possession of controlled substance, and possession of paraphernalia. I had to double check and double read the trespass part of it. I guess what is alleged in here is that, let me read it off the paperwork so I don't say it wrong. I remember going back and reading it, and now I forgot what it said about the ownership of the vehicle, because I was questioning whether or not the trespass had probable cause, but then I remember reading something that said that the car was reported. Let me just double check.
Judge, the car was reported stolen out of Seminole County.
Right, I think that's, thank you for pointing that out. So that would be the unauthorized, the unlawful entry into the trespass into the car without being authorized, licensed, or invited. So trespass, probable cause, bond is stated at $250. Resisting, probable cause, bond is stated at $5. Possession of controlled substance, probable cause, bond is stated at $1,000. Possession of paraphernalia, probable cause, bond is $100. And Ms. Hill, does she qualify for PTR supervision with these charges?
No,
Okay.
The charges do, however, she has an open case which would disqualify her.
Okay, so bonds as stated, no PTR supervision because she doesn't qualify, but I'm gonna order do not possess or consume any illegal substances and no contact with co-defendants. Do you need a public defender, Ms. Wells?
Yes, ma'am.
PD will be appointed provisionally. Thank you. All right, so Brentley Cummins. Ms. Hill, do you have any information as far as Mr. Cummins is concerned? I know it was a warrant, so I wasn't sure if PTR had screened him or not.
Well, he does not qualify due to the
nature of the
probation
charge.
case he's out on.
Right, but do you have any other information about the victim or the injunction or failures to appear, violent criminal history, anything to that extent?
He had a battery in 2018, which he was convicted of, violation of injunction in January 2019, which he was convicted of. He was given probation. He violated probation in August 2019, and he still is currently on probation, and that's for the battery charge.
Okay, so State, were you able to locate anything with regard to the booking report?
Your Honor, I was not able to locate that. I did look up the case that he's currently on probation for. The listed victim is Desiree Huron.
The problem is I don't, and I said booking report, I meant to say warrant. Without a copy of the warrant, I don't even know who the listed victim is in this new charge.
Yes.
So I
Your
was
Honor,
not
I
given.
do have a copy of that.
Okay, and who is the listed victim?
Desiree Curran,
Okay,
with the date of birth 11/6/2001.
thank you. All right, so Mr. Cummins, as we talked about yesterday, you were arrested on a warrant. There is no question about probable cause because the judge who signed the warrant determined there was probable cause. The bonds came in at 0, but both of these charges are misdemeanors, which means I'm obligated to consider giving you a bond. I passed it from yesterday to today to read the police report to see what the facts alleged and where I think a bond should be set. However, I was never given a copy of the affidavit that went along with that warrant. Therefore, based on what I know right now, your bond in count 1 will be set at $2,500, and your bond in count 2 will be set at $2,500. No contact with the listed victim. Do not possess any weapons or firearms. The no contact would mean not going within 1,000 feet of anywhere that she may live, work, or be located. And then, Ms. Hill, what's the case number for the VOP, for the probation case?
18 MM3168.
Your Honor,
He's
if I
already
may.
violated on that?
Yes, an odd-view violation was already done on that.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Cummins, what do you want to say?
Would there be any possible way I could get a reduced bond to lower my bond?
Why would you
and
want one? You
could
got
I
a
get a
VOP.
copy?
VOP with a 0. Why would you
Just in
want?
case when I do the time for this charge, I can bond out for this next charge.
Your motion is
And
denied.
another question is,
What's your next
Okay.
question?
yeah, Your Honor, could I get a copy of the affidavit?
Your lawyer can get you one. Do you need a public defender?
No, ma'am. Thank
All
you.
right, you're welcome. Thank you. All right, that's all we had from Osceola. Thank you.
Judge,
Your Honor?
pardon me.
Okay.
May we readdress Bryant King, please,
Why?
briefly? You had given him direct PTR, which I understand. However, in speaking with him, he says he has no address, he is homeless, and he has no phone number, and he has no contact phone numbers whatsoever to give us.
Okay.
We can still place him on direct PTR. I just wanted you to be advised of this, because if he doesn't check in, we have no way of locating him.
All right, I was just going by the risk assessment sheet that you gave me that said he did qualify. So I assumed all that had been checked out. Because I know we do sometimes PTR people who are homeless, they're just on a report status.
That's correct, and we are able to do them based on the charges. I just wanted you to be aware of that information.
Mr. King, are you still there in the room?
Come on.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. King, did you hear everything that Ms. Hill was just telling me?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, the paperwork I have says you stay in St. Cloud, is that true?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so if I put you on PTR, it's gonna be your obligation to check in with them. You're gonna have to find a way to make sure that you do that on a weekly basis. There's, I think, a $10 cost of checking in. If you can't do that, you're gonna end up violating your PTR, and you're gonna end up back in jail, probably on a zero bond. So do you want me to do PTR, or do you want me to just set you a bond?
I'll do PTR. I mean, what is that? Is that a call to check in?
Well, Ms. Hill will explain that to you. Sometimes it's calling, sometimes it's showing up. So you're gonna, if she says to show up, you're gonna have to find a way over to the jail.
All right.
All right, you're gonna do it, right? I'm letting you know that I'm giving you that option.
Okay.
All
Yes,
right,
ma'am.
we'll leave them on PTR. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Schmer, did you want to say
I think we
something?
skipped- Yes, I think we skipped two inmates, Mr. Cagle and Mr. Colato,
I don't have those.
bonded. Oh, Mr. Cagle.
He had a zero bond, I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
Well, I thought Mr. Cagle was not addressed. He has a no bond on an assault case. He's entitled to a bond, Judge.
I don't have paperwork. I would have called him. I have a PTR sheet for Cagle, but I don't have a stack of papers for Cagle. Did he maybe not make the cutoff for today?
I don't know, Your Honor. I have the paperwork on him, and the public defender has the paperwork on him. He's on the list, but we'll just have to reset him for tomorrow.
I have nothing. I have no reason to not address it if I have the paperwork. I had nothing to read. Was it a warrant?
Judge, he's here.
No, Your Honor, it's a PC arrest on a domestic assault.
Cagle, Joseph Cagle.
C-A-G,
Yes, sir,
C-A-G-L-E.
that's fine. That still doesn't help me locate the paperwork. They never sent it over. I'm happy to address it if I have paperwork, but I have no paperwork, so I don't know what happened with the transmission there. I can set them for tomorrow's IAs, but no paperwork was given to the clerk here. She's got a perplexed look on her face, and I definitely don't have a stack of paperwork here. Unless you can get that transmitted and I could address it after I address the Orange counties. And I've got a stack of Orange counties, that means you all are gonna have to stick around. How would you all like to do this, Mr. Schmer?
Your Honor, if I may, what we can do is I can scan over the affidavit to you, all the paperwork. When you're ready for him, if the clerk can call me directly, I'll make sure we get him in this room and address it.
Okay,
She can call within,
I have, I don't know, what, 80 Orange counties to do, so you all are gonna have to stick around for the next couple of hours. I'll still be here, I don't have a problem with it, but I mean, I have to read it before I can make any decisions on it. So if you all wanna do
Yes,
it
Your
that way,
Honor,
it's okay with me.
we have somebody here until at least 4 o'clock.
Okay, Mr. Schmer, what about you?
I don't want Mr. Cagle to be here longer than he has to be, so I'll stick around.
All right, so we'll get back in touch. Ms. Hill, do you have the information to contact the clerks over here?
I do, Your Honor.
Okay, all right, so we'll give you all a call back.
Thank you.
Thank you. All righty, so the state,
Sarah Castro on behalf of the state.
from the public defender.
Megan Albrecht.
Thank you. Just organize this mess here. All right, Orlin Ramos Navarro. And is the interpreter on the line? Is this an interpreter case?
Yes, Your Honor, the interpreter's on the line.
Okay, great, thank you. We have Mr. Ramos putting on the headset. And appearance of the interpreter for the record, please.
Astrid Rodriguez, certified Spanish interpreter, previously sworn in.
Ms. Rodriguez, are you in the, at the courthouse?
No, Your Honor, I'm logging in from home.
Okay, so you don't have the video capability, just the audio?
No, Your Honor, I can see the courtroom. I can see, yeah, I do have video capability.
Oh, cool. Oh, from home. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
good.
this is a work laptop that JR prepared for me.
Oh,
This was
okay.
like a prototype to see how well it worked out and everything. But I've been doing this like this from home now for over a year.
That's very cool. Okay, thank you for that clarification. Can you ask
You're welcome, Your Honor.
ask Mr. Ramos if he can hear you?
Yes.
Okay. So, Mr. Ramos, you were arrested for domestic violence battery. I've read the affidavit. There is probable cause. You also have another arrest for aggravated assault, and there is probable cause for that as well. You look like that you were out on bond in 19 MM 719AO as a third case number. Okay, so there is a lady who is standing in the box. Ma'am, do you speak English?
Yes.
Okay, you are not obligated to say anything. Obviously, anything that you do say, I'll listen to, but anything that you say in here can be used in any further proceedings. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Are you gonna wanna say something?
No.
Okay. So, based on what I see, Mr. Ramos, in the domestic violence battery charge, your bond is gonna be set at $1,500. You may not have any contact with the listed victim. You may not return to any shared residence. You can have a one-time assist order if you need to pick up any personal belongings, if that's where you were living as well. The bond in the ag assault is $2,000. No contact with the victim. And I'm revoking your bond in 19 MM 719. And these didn't have the PD sheets originally. Oh, Spanish, you don't do them because you don't have anybody to translate. Okay. Do you need a public defender, Mr. Ramos?
Bueno, nomás quiero saber si tengo fianza para salir hoy, para pagarlo hoy.
I just want to know if I have a bond so I can pay it today.
You have bonds in 2 cases, but your bond was revoked in the 3rd. So basically, if you paid on the first 2, you still won't get out.
And Judge, he has a private attorney on the revoked case.
Are you going to want a public defender on the new charges, or are you going to talk to that private lawyer to represent you on those also?
I got a question. Necesito un defensor público.
I need a public defender.
All right, I'll appoint the PD on the 2 new law violations provisionally, but he needs to fill out an affidavit. Yes, ma'am?
I was living with him. That's his house. I don't have nowhere to go. What can I do?
I'm not kicking you out. I'm telling him he can't return. I'm not evicting you.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Juan Guevara. Is this also Spanish?
Yes, Judge.
En español, señor. Okay. Oh, thanks. Thank you. Good morning, sir. Please say your name.
Juan Guevara.
Juan Guevara.
Mr. Guevara, you were arrested for domestic violence battery. There is probable cause. And while the PTR sheet says that the victim was contacted and planned to attend, there's nobody here, nobody in the box. Based on what I read, sir, your bond will be $1,000 with pretrial release, no contact with the listed victim, no return to the shared residence. You can have a one-time assist order to retrieve your personal belongings. Do you need a public defender to represent you?
Sí, sí, por favor.
Yes, yes, please.
PD will be appointed provisionally. We'll just So make sure he fills out a form at some point. Thank you, sir. The next one in Spanish, Edgardo Padilla.
Yes, Medina Padilla.
Good morning, please say your name.
Edgardo Medina Padilla. Edgardo Medina Padilla.
Edgardo Medina Padilla.
Thank you. So, Mr. Medina, you were arrested on a warrant for stalking and assignation. The judge who issued the warrant found probable cause. Your bonds are $1,000 count one and $100 count two. And no contact with the victim. Do you need a public defender, sir?
No,
Thank you.
no.
And then the last one in Spanish appears to be Hilda Toro. Good morning, ma'am. Please say your name. Su nombre, señora.
Mi nombre es Hilda Toro.
My name is Hilda Toro.
Thank you. Ms. Toro, you were arrested on a warrant that came from Seminole County. And in Seminole County, the judge said that you failed to appear for a court date, so he issued a capias.
You know, excuse me.
Un momento.
I don't speak
La señora, can she hear you, Ms.?
Yo no hablo inglés.
Yo sé.
Gracias.
Pero creo que la
Your Honor,
señora...
I think she,
Go ahead, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yo no sé quién es.
she says she doesn't know who it is, but I am speaking to her through the headset, Your Honor.
In Spanish.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, yo creo que la señora está hablando español, ¿verdad?
Sí, yo no sé. Si es que esto no sirve, yo creo. Yo no oigo.
She says it's not working.
Sí, ahora sí.
Now, yeah. Okay, all right. Sometimes the equipment doesn't work right.
Thank
I
you.
apologize.
Thank you. I'm so sorry, baby.
No, that's not a problem, no problem. The reason why you're here is because you have a warrant from Seminole County. The judge in Seminole County said you missed your court date. So they issued a capias, which is a warrant for your arrest. Your bond is set at 0. We're gonna have them come pick you up, and then you can talk to the judge in Seminole County. Okay?
Hoy,
Maybe not today, but hopefully soon.
I can go home.
No.
Mamá, mi nieto solo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think that's all we had for
Qué
Spanish.
cosa más grande.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thanks. Sorry for the confusion.
No worries.
It's always interesting, right?
Absolutely.
Thanks. All right.
Enjoy the
Jazeel-
rest of your weekend.
You as well. Thank you. Jazeel King. Hi, Mr. King. Mr. King, you were arrested for DUI with breath alcohol above a .15, it alleges. And I don't have a PTR sheet on him.
He was an add-on, Your Honor. I don't have access to it.
Okay, so we don't know if he has any prior DUIs.
I do have his history just ran by name, race, gender, date of birth, and no criminal history came up.
Okay, so your bond will be $500. Do not drive without a valid license. Because of your breath, the DMV probably suspended you, not the court, but the DMV. Anything above a .08, they usually will suspend. So don't drive until you check with them and make sure that your license is still good. And you don't qualify for the public defender, so you're gonna be on your own to hire a private lawyer if you want representation, okay? Do you have any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Tyler Scott. Good morning, please say your name.
Tyler Scott.
Thank you. So, Mr. Scott, you were arrested for aggravated battery and battery domestic. Both are domestic, I find probable cause. PTR says you have 4 failures to appear. Arrest history to include ag assault with a weapon ×2, ag bat, and ag bat on a pregnant person ×3. Arrests, it doesn't say convictions for that. All right, based on what I read, your bond will be set 2,000 count one, 2,000 count two, no contact with the victim, no return to the scene, no shared residence, no weapons or firearms. And then as far as the public defender, you do qualify, so the PD will be appointed. Thank you, sir.
So I got how many bonds?
Oh, and it's supervised by PTR, two bonds. 2,000 count one, 2,000 count two, all supervised by PTR. I just got the sheet and he does qualify for supervision. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. You can have the Spanish sheet back, and you can have Mr. Scott's sheet back, and here's his no contact order. And Luther C?
Yeah.
Good morning, sir. How do you say your name?
S-E-A-Y-C.
Say. Thank you, Mr. Say. Sir, you were arrested for aggravated battery. I guess the stick technically qualifies as a deadly weapon, and so there is probable cause. 2 failures to appear, 20 unknowns, convictions for agbat, simple assault, domestic, disorderly. Right. Bond will be stayed at $3,500. No contact with the victim. No weapons or firearms. The public defender's office is appointed, sir. Thank you. Ricardo Sorrell. Good morning, please say your name.
Ricardo Sorrell.
Actually, it's afternoon now, it's after 12, sorry. Mr. Sorrell, you were arrested for domestic violence battery. I've read the affidavit, there is probable cause. No failures to appear. 1 conviction for reckless, qualifies for PTR. Okay. Good morning, ma'am. You are not obligated to say anything. You can if you want to, and I'll swear you in if you do. But anything that you say in here can be brought up at future court hearings. So I just want to make sure that you understand that. Are you going to want to say anything? You don't have to if you don't want to.
I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Sorrell, based on what I read in this affidavit, your bond will be set at $1,000 with pretrial release, no contact with the listed victim, no return to any shared residence. You may have a one-time assist order to get your personal belongings, no weapons or firearms. And you do qualify for the public defender, sir. Thank you.
Your Honor,
Yes, ma'am.
I don't fear him or anything. He can return to his residence.
Okay, well, that's why if you want to say something, I have to put you under oath. Since you said you didn't know, I didn't want to ask you any questions.
Okay.
So do you want me to consider anything that you have to say? Because then I have to swear you in.
Okay.
Okay, please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. Please lower your hand. Tell me your name.
Angela Gray.
Angela what?
Gray.
Thank you. Ms. Gray, you're the person who's listed in this affidavit as the victim, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you mentioned a minute ago that you have no problem with him returning to the house. But if I say that you two can't have any contact, if I let him return, you have to leave.
I am.
Do you want to do that? I'm not kicking you out. I'm not making you leave. But if you voluntarily leave, then I'll let him go back.
I'm leaving within the next week.
Okay. So PTR, how do we do that? Is there a way that if I say
I mean,
he may return? if
he has a
confirm-
verified alternative address, so he has another place that he has verified that he can go, so if he,
Right, he
You
can
go
go there
there
in the
for a
meantime,
time.
but gives her a week to get out. If she's voluntarily leaving the house and then that's where he
Right.
pays rent, I don't have a problem with him going back there. Or
sometimes.
if he owns it, I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes the judge will order that they go back with Leo, and then as long as the individual is no longer there, they can stay at their residence.
Okay, I can do that. I just didn't know what
Sometimes-
language you needed.
I don't need anything, it's more the clerk what they need to verify or to clarify on their sheet.
Understood, okay. Well, I'm just gonna try to accommodate, what I think is right and what I think everybody's telling me here. So, no return for a week, which would be until, let's say, noon next Sunday, which is the, 22nd? Today the 15th?
Yes.
So the
Your Honor,
22nd.
Today's the 15th.
Upon verification with law enforcement that the victim has vacated the premises. State any objection to that?
No objection, Your Honor. And we are doing no contact,
No
correct?
contact, right.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Everything else will stay the same. That'll give her an opportunity, she says she wants to leave
No,
voluntarily.
it's bond, it's still bonded. It was 1,000.
Michael Deuce. Good morning, or good afternoon, please say your name.
Michael Deuce.
Thank you. Sir, you were arrested for possession of cocaine, possession of paraphernalia. There is probable cause. PTR says you have 3 failures to appear. Your last one was May in this year. Florida convictions to include trespass, domestic, marijuana, controlled substance, paraphernalia. Okay. Bond will be set at $1,000, count 1, $100, count 2, and you're out on bond in 19 CF 12395AO. That will be revoked and set at 0. Public Defender's Office is appointed. Thank you. Frederick Jenkins.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Are you Mr. Jenkins?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Jenkins, you were arrested for driving on a suspended license with knowledge. There is probable cause. PTR said you had a failure to appear way back in '05. But you don't qualify for pretrial release, previous convictions, long time ago.
Yes.
All right. This is suspended with 2 or more priors, 3rd or subsequent, which is a 3rd-degree felony. So your bond is stayed at $2,500. Public Defender's Office is appointed. Thank you, sir.
That's it, Your Honor?
That's it, sir. Thank you. Kip Cornelius.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, please say your name.
Kip Young Cornelius.
Thank you. So, Mr. Cornelius, you were arrested for indecent conduct. I've read the affidavit, and there is probable cause. Looks like you're also out on bond in 19 CF 12895AO.
ROR.
Okay, out on an ROR. But having an open case, obviously. All right, let me look at your PTR sheet. Not interviewed. All right, so your bond in the new charge will be stayed, and your release in 19 CF 12895AO will be revoked. Public Defender's Office is appointed. Thank you.
Am I getting released today?
No.
I have a $250 bond.
Well, I just revoked you in your other case because you were arrested for a new law violation while you were out on release.
Yeah,
So
they dropped that case.
if it's dropped, then that's not a problem. You can post bond on the new charge. If that other charge is closed, then you can post bond on
They
your
already
new
said
charge.
it's closed. That's
They
why
didn't
they
tell
gave
me it was closed.
Hey, ma'am, that's why they gave me the
Thank you.
$250 bond.
Erica Dumpson, good morning,
Good
or good
morning.
afternoon, I'm sorry, I keep saying that. Please say your name.
Erica Dumpson. They had me arrested under Erica Dumpson today for
Okay,
this charge. But it's Robinson by ID.
okay, ma'am, thank you. It looks like you were arrested for petty theft from Walmart. There is probable cause. It looks like you also have 2 open cases, 19 MM 5220 and 10911, or excuse me, 19 MM 5220AO.
Okay.
And 18 MM 10911AO. So your
Okay.
new bond is $250 in the new law arrest, and your bonds are revoked on the
Your
other
Honor,
2.
I'm sorry
Okay.
to interrupt. These 2 cases appear to be in competency, court competency status. There was a finding of incompetence.
Was there one already?
In both of them, and so at this point, there's a presumption of incompetence. I'd ask the court to take no action on those 2.
Does she, was she out on conditional release?
She was.
Okay, and you don't have copies of those?
I just looked at the clerk's website when reviewing the docket.
And you don't have a copy of the order that says that she was found incompetent?
I don't have a physical copy of it. I'm sure the clerk's office could provide that to you.
Right. At this time, without that information, I'm gonna revoke her conditional release, but I don't have any objection at all, obviously, to getting this accelerated on the docket so that you can present that paperwork on the new charge
Could the court
and
take-
on the 2 revocations, because they should probably all end up being consolidated.
Could the court take judicial notice of the fact that those orders are in the file?
Not if I don't have access to the file. State, do you have a position? Because I don't have Odyssey access.
The state would defer to the court. I could obtain copies of that and print them and bring them to you, but right now I don't have them.
The problem ends up being that, I think she should appear in front of the judge before whom the other two cases are pending to see if that they're addressing the conditional release. She's out on conditional release and gets arrested for a new law charge, and so that becomes a revolving door for everybody who's incompetent. And I understand your concerns, I'm sensitive to them. I was the mental health court judge in Osceola for years and years. So I understand what you're saying, but we've got to figure out how to stop her from reoffending.
Right, and that's, I think, a larger problem than we
Sure.
can resolve here today.
I agree.
I just, whenever
Yeah.
a defendant's found incompetent, as you know, and
I do
they're
know.
placed on conditional release, the court can't hold them in custody.
Right, and upon motion and court making findings, then the court will do what the court has to do, but I can't make findings on information I don't have. So, and I don't have access to it today. So
Okay.
the motion is denied without prejudice because I don't have copies of the judge declaring that she's incompetent. Thank you. And PD's appointed. And Daniel Tilley, good afternoon. Mr. Tilley, you were arrested on a warrant for violation of probation. Your bond is set at 0. Public defender is appointed. Thank you. Do you want the PTR sheets, or do you want me to just get rid of them? You want them? No. Oh, okay, so I'll just keep them in a separate pile.
You can.
Okay. I could do that. You're welcome. Wardell Coates?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Mr. Coates.
How you doing?
Sir, you were arrested for domestic violence battery. I didn't see where it was shown that it was domestic. I don't know, state if I missed it. I see PC for battery. And it sorta kinda implies they stay together, but it said on again, off again, and it said her house. So, at this time, I'm just gonna say I find PC for battery. Doesn't qualify for PTR. All right, bond will be set at $1,000, no contact, maintain separate residence. And the public defender's office is appointed. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Oh my God, I just all of a sudden got really hungry. Stefan Gibson. Good afternoon, sir. Please say your name.
Stefan Gibson.
Thank you. So, Mr. Gibson, you were arrested for 2 counts of domestic violence battery. It's alleged it's your mom and your sister. There is probable cause. No prior history. Ladies, as you might have heard me say to other people who stood in the box, you're not obligated to say anything if you don't want to. If you do, I'm gonna have to swear you in. Anything that you say today can be brought up in future court dates and introduced into evidence at that time. So do either of you want to speak?
I do,
All right. So please, each of you raise your right hands. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. Please lower your hand. The lady in the white shirt, please say your name.
Dominique Thomas,
And who are you related to, Stefan?
girlfriend.
Okay, and then, ma'am, what's your name?
Alyssa Gibson,
And who are you related to, Stefan?
sister.
The sister, okay. So, Ms. Thomas, I'm sorry, did I write? Oh, I said mom and I wrote, child's mom. So it's child's mom and sister. I apologize. Can't even read my own handwriting. All right, so we'll start with Ms. Thomas. What do you want to say?
Well, right now, I'm currently living with his mom. But I don't have no, like, other family members that I can, like, go to.
Well, I'm not going to make you leave as a result of this charge.
Okay.
I mean, is that the only thing that you wanted to say?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then Ms. Gibson, what do you want to say?
I don't want to press charges against him.
Well, that's something that the state attorney's office is gonna have to decide, whether or not they can go forward on these charges. It's not up to just the person who was supposedly the victim.
Okay.
Sometimes people do things and we forgive them really fast because we have love and affection for them. That doesn't mean that it didn't happen. I don't know if it did in this case, just based on the police report, we're talking about why he's in custody. It still has to be proven if we go any further. But I just wanted to let you know that sometimes people are more willing to forgive, but that doesn't mean a crime may not have occurred. All right, so that's all you want to say?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Gibson, do you have someplace other than the Anzio Street address to stay? Is there
No.
somebody you could stay with?
No.
Nobody, no friends, no relatives, nobody that would let you sleep on their couch or anything like that?
No.
Do you work? Where do you work?
Cinemark?
Okay. Because for so long as they're living at the house, you're not gonna be able to go back to the house and stay there until the case is resolved. All right, so bond will be set at $1,000 each count with pretrial release, no contact, no return. That means with either of the two victims. That also means no social media contact. If you ladies allow him to contact you, he's gonna get in trouble. And if he tries to contact you, then he's gonna get in trouble. So either way, he'll be in trouble. So don't tell him, oh, it's okay, he could come back to the house. Until we tell him that he can, he can. Otherwise, if he gets caught, he'll be in trouble and back in jail, probably on a zero bond. And nobody wants that to happen.
Your Honor, could he have a one-time return?
Yes, of course, he can have a one-time assist to retrieve his personal belongings with law enforcement. And the public defenders is appointed. Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Abigail Joseph. Good afternoon. Are you Miss Joseph?
Yes.
Thank you.
Afternoon.
Ma'am, you were arrested for domestic violence battery against your brother and domestic violence assault against your mom. I've read the affidavit and there is probable cause. Bond in count 1 will be set at 1,000, bond in count 2, 500, both with pretrial release, no contact, no return. One-time assist is allowed with law enforcement, and public defender's office is appointed. Thank you. Fletcher McCray. Good afternoon, sir. Please say your name.
Fletcher McCray.
Thank you. So, Mr. McCray, you were arrested for domestic violence battery. I've read the affidavit and there is probable cause. PTR, did you have a sheet on him or did I miss it?
I can give you mine if you need to look at it quick, Your Honor.
No, I found it. Thank you. I attached it by mistake to the back of Ms. Joseph's.
Okay.
All right, so, Mr. McCray, according to pretrial release, you don't qualify for PTR supervision. It shows you have 3 failures to appear, but they were old. Florida convictions, drug convictions, injunction, violation of injunction, violation of threat. Okay, all right. Ma'am, if you'd like to say something, you can. You're not obligated to if you don't want to, but if you do, I have to swear you in. Okay, raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Please lower your hand and say your name.
Candace Pope,
And who are you with relation to Mr. McCray?
his wife,
Okay, and you're the person who's listed in the police report as the victim, correct?
correct.
Okay, what would you like me to know, ma'am?
I would like to say that we've been together for 15 years now, and he's not a violent person. He's a very family-oriented person, very good with his kids, and he has been having family issues and just been drinking, and it just got out of control and just hit me once. But other than that,
Yeah, but
I'm
even
not
one
afraid
is too
of
many.
him or,
But even one is not good.
I'm sorry?
Even one, you said he hit you once.
Yeah.
Even once is too many. People who love each other aren't supposed to hit each other.
Right. It wasn't like a, like a too hard or anything. I just not afraid of him, and it normally don't happen at all. We don't have any physical contact whatsoever at home.
Okay. State, do you wish to inquire?
So
I'm not inclined to do no hostile, just to let you know. It's up to
Then-
you. You can inquire if you'd like to, but based on what I know so far, I'm not gonna allow contact.
the state has no questions for the victim and would argue, no contact.
All right. The public defender's office is appointed. Does the defense wish to inquire of the victim? All right. So bond is gonna be set at $1,000, no contact, no return. He may not have any contact with you, ma'am, so if you encourage him to come home or to allow him to speak with you, he's gonna violate a court order and he'll end up back in jail. You all need some cooling off, so he's gonna need to maintain a separate residence.
For how long? Because I
Just
don't,
until further order.
I'm sorry?
Just until the state decides whether or not they're gonna press charges. Okay? And, I think I already said PD appointed, so we're good. No contact, no return. One-time assist order is permitted with law enforcement. Thank you.
Is my
Ma'am,
kids allowed to be dropped off where he are because he does help babysit while I works as well when he's,
I'm not restricting his contact with his and your children. As long as you don't feel that the children are in danger, he can still see his children. I'm restricting the contact between the two of you for right now.
Ma'am, so, how would I get the bond paid? She has the money.
I can't answer that question, sir. I don't know. My understanding is the jail doesn't allow the victim to post the bond. So, she wants to give it to another family member and then they can come and post it. I guess that's the way to
So
do
what's-
it,
what's
but I
the
can't.
10% 100?
I don't know how to say that. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
you're welcome.
Rochelle Saint Hilaire.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Please say your name.
Rochelle St. Hilaire.
Thank you. So Ms. St. Hilaire, you were arrested for violation of an injunction in a domestic case. There is probable cause. Bond is set at $1,000. No contact with the listed victim. You're already ordered to stay away from the residence, so I'm gonna tell you to abide by all conditions of the injunction. Public Defender's Office is appointed. Thank you. Kimberly Abraham,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you. Ms. Abraham, you have a couple of different booking reports. Let me read them to you. You have an arrest warrant for failure to appear. The judge who issued that warrant gave you a bond of $2,000. Then you have a new law arrest for possession of fentanyl, and there is probable cause. Let me look and see what PTR says. You don't qualify for PTR. So bond will be set at $1,000. Do not possess or consume any illegal substances. Public Defender's Office is appointed. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so, Gerardo Betancourt?
Correct, yes.
Mr. Betancourt, you have two booking reports, it looks like. You have criminal mischief over 200, less than 1,000, and violation of probation. There is probable cause for both. The criminal mischief will be stayed at $500. Do not possess any alcohol, possess or consume any alcohol, no contact with the victim, and the violation of probation is set at 0. Public Defender's Office is appointed. Thank you. Do you want these to stay paperclip together, or do you care?
That's fine.
Okay. I normally will clip them on the side. That, to me, tells me there's more than one. Yeah. Eric Butler?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Mr. Butler. Sir, you're here for first appearance, robbery, armed robbery with a firearm and a mask, petty theft, and resisting without. There is probable cause. Your bonds are all stayed, so you have a 0 bond in count 1, $100 in count 2, and $100 in count 3. Public Defender's Office is appointed. Thank you. Patrick Conyers? Hi, are you Mr. Conyers?
Good.
Thank you. Mr. Conyers, you are here for first appearance. You're charged initially with robbery armed with a firearm, wearing a mask, petty theft, and resisting without violence. There is probable cause. Your bonds are stayed 0, count 1, 100, count 2, 100, count 3, and the Public Defender's Office is appointed. Thank you. Jessica Dargenio?
Yes.
Ms. Dargenio, you were arrested for grand theft and taking actions to defraud an anti-shoplifting device or tampering with an anti-shoplifting device. The way they word it is weird. Try to put it in regular language, but there is probable cause. PTR says you don't qualify for PTR. You have Florida convictions for resisting merchant recovery, retail theft, grand theft, multiple times. Okay, so your bonds will be stayed, $2,500 in count one, $150 count two, but I'm gonna order that you not return to the Millennium Mall. So you can't go anywhere on the Millennium Mall property if you bond out. The Public Defender's Office is appointed. Thank you. Nathaniel Greenhouse?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Mr. Greenhouse, you were arrested for possession of fentanyl, possession of marijuana under 20, and possession of paraphernalia. There is probable cause. You do not qualify for the public defender, but you do qualify for PTR. So your bonds will be, do you have any prior convictions? No.
No, ma'am.
Well, Florida
Just a
conviction trespass.
yeah.
Just the trespass?
Yeah, in 2016.
Okay. How long have you lived on Scan Court?
Going on 2 years.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna PTR you on this without having to post a monetary bond, but you're gonna have to take weekly drug tests, and
Yes,
they're gonna
ma'am.
have to be negative.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
may not possess or consume any illegal substances or anything that's not specifically prescribed to you in the dosages that are prescribed.
Yes, ma'am. Right now, my urine is hot, so I know in a week it will still be hot.
Well, probation, PTR is gonna have to check levels.
Yes, ma'am.
And then, if it looks like there's indication of any new drug use, then issue a violation.
Yes, ma'am.
And you, like I said, you don't qualify for the public defender.
So I'll have to get my own attorney?
Correct.
Correct, yes, ma'am.
All right? Thank you.
Gracias. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Jeremiah Hendricks. Hi, are you Mr. Hendricks?
Yes.
Okay. What did I miss? That's his. Okay, Mr. Hendricks, you were arrested for fleeing and eluding. Well, let me start again. You were arrested for grand theft, which is a motor vehicle, fleeing and eluding, and resisting without. State, the only thing that I read in this police report with regard to the driving is that the officer said he tried to effectuate a traffic stop, and there was no other indication of the fleeing and eluding. Do you have anything more, or can you point out something that I might have missed?
In regard to the fleeing and eluding, Your Honor, it did state that the 4 individuals fled the vehicle on foot in several directions and ignored commands to stop running. I think we heard the co-defendants either this morning or yesterday morning, and PC was found in their cases.
Okay, well, running after being told to stop is a resisting. Fleeing and eluding with lights and sirens would indicate a vehicle being pursued with active lights and sirens. So I'm gonna find PC for counts 1 and 3, but I'm gonna ROR him on count 2. And let me look at the PTR notes. Doesn't qualify for PTR. All right, bond in count 1 will be $1,000, bond in count 3 will be $1,000. That may be all for naught because he's out on bond in 19 MM 3078 for marijuana paraphernalia charges. That bond will be revoked. Public Defender's Office is appointed. Thank you. ROR on the fleeing and eluding, there's just not enough facts in there to rise to PC. Robert Hendricks?
He's medical, Your Honor.
Okay. So,
He's in hospital.
all right, so we'll reset him to tomorrow. Rob? Oh, okay, that's fine. However you all word it, he'll be reset, he's unavailable.
Yeah.
Just so the record is clear, I did read the affidavits and there is probable cause for his detention. He has bonds in all cases, if I'm not mistaken. So the court is not holding him on a no bond status, and he did not fill out the paperwork for public defender yet, but he'll have the opportunity to do so if he chooses.
So you want me to do PC
No, he has the right to hear that, but I just wanted to say that for the record that, he's not being held on a case where there is no PC. It just, he needs to be able to hear all that. He has the right to attend. And that was Mr. Robert Hendricks. Okay. Mr. Houston then is in medical. Yeah, okay. So the next one would have been James Houston. For the record, he's unavailable. He's in the hospital. He is being held on a grand theft with a bond. I had read it. There is probable cause, but I am going to reset his first appearances so he has the right to hear that. So just reset. I just like the record to know that we're not passing people over just because. And then, did I skip Jeremiah Hendricks by mistake? There were two Hendrickses, a Jeremiah and a Robert. I did them? Okay. Wow.
Yes,
Did I
Mr.
say
Jeremiah Hendricks is the last
Okay,
one.
I apologize. So are you
This is Jeremy Lee.
Mr. Jeremy Lee?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sir, thank you. So Mr. Lee, it looks like you have a couple of different booking reports, so let's take them one at a time. You have a warrant for trafficking in heroin and sale and delivery of MDMA. The judge who issued that warrant set your bonds at $500,000 in count 1 and $150,000 in count 2. So that's bond as per the warrant. Then you have new law arrests for possession of MDMA, possession of Xanax. There's probable cause. Bonds are stayed at $1,000 each. And then you have a new arrest report for possession of firearm in the commission of a felony and possession of firearm by convicted felon. And there is probable cause. Those bonds are stayed as well. Did you fill out a form for the public defender? I believe so. PD is appointed on all 3 cases. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your name, please?
Cairo Mansueta.
Mr. Mansueta, thank you. Mr. Mansueta, you have 2 booking reports. So you have one that says possession of marijuana and possession of paraphernalia. I'm gonna ask the state where the field test or the indicators of reliability are with regard to the substance being marijuana. I didn't see a field test in this booking report. And again, I may have missed it. The print is teeny tiny and I didn't bring my glasses. But I think I've done pretty good in reading everything so far.
Your Honor, I don't see any indication in here regarding a possible field test that was done. The state would request 24 hours to contact the officer for more information.
Based on the totality of both of these booking reports, I'm gonna deny the request. I'm gonna, for now, present an ROR on count 1, but I find probable cause on count 2 and set bond at 1,000. And then I also find probable cause for violation of probation, which is the second booking report, because a new law charge while he's on probation is probable cause of violation, so he's gonna be found on a 0 bond in that case. And then the public defender's office is appointed.
So we got an RR count 1?
Yes, 1,000 on count 2 and 0 on the VOP. That's the only reason why I denied the request for the 24, because he's not going anywhere.
Thank you, Your Honor, that makes sense.
All right. Thank you, sir.
I'm sorry, was there bond on the VOP?
No. Okay. Dustin Miller? Okay. For the record, Mr. Miller was picked up on capias for failure to appear. He is not voluntarily cooperating. The court finds that he's waived his right to be present by behaving poorly. He has 0 bonds. I'm not going to take any action on 19 MM 806 AW. I'm not sure chicken or egg in that case, so I'm going to leave that one alone.
Yes, Judge. Thank you.
Okay. And he didn't fill out an affidavit for the public defender, so I don't know what he wants to do for that.
Does he have the public defender in the MM case?
I don't know if he has one.
Okay.
No?
Okay.
Okay. So, are you Mr. Powell?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, State versus Rennell Powell. Mr. Powell, you were arrested for, hold Okay. Possession of drug paraphernalia, possession of weapon by convicted felon, and burglary of a conveyance. I didn't see in the booking report where it showed he was convicted.
That's
or
correct,
he's a
Judge, and
convicted felon.
and I discussed that with the state. I believe they are in agreement that there's no probable cause on
Okay.
that.
See, I do read them, I read them all. So, Mr. Powell, I find probable cause of the possession of paraphernalia and the burglary conveyance, but not of possession of a weapon by convicted felon, so that count 2 will be an ROR. But the other 2 counts, looking at your history, robbery, resisting, trespass, paraphernalia, dealing in stolen property, multiple drugs, theft, carjacking. Okay, bond in count 1 will be set at $500, and bond in count 3 will be set at $1,000. No contact with the victim, no contact with the co-defendant, no weapons or firearms. And the public defender's office is appointed. Thank you. Ruben Rodriguez. Okay, Mr. Rodriguez, you were arrested for possession of cocaine, possession of paraphernalia. There is probable cause. 1 failure to appear. Florida convictions to include paraphernalia, possession of narcotics, burglary, burglary tools, tampering, controlled substance, trespass, multiple municipal ordinance. Okay. Bonds will be stayed. 1,000 count 1 and 100 count 2, and the public defender's office is appointed. Thank you, sir. Nelson Santiago.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Mr. Santiago, you were arrested for petty theft with prior convictions and trespass after warning. There is probable cause. Bonds will be stayed 1,100, but I'm gonna also order that you have no contact with the co-defendant and no return to the Walmart.
Ma'am, may I
Yes.
speak?
Public defenders appointed.
Oh, thank you.
welcome.
I have problems. I black out. I have a fractured skull, and I received it when I was in the military. And sometimes I don't realize I do things like this, ma'am.
Okay, you need to talk to your lawyer about that, and if they feel that anything rises to a defense, they'll present that for you. That doesn't affect the probable cause determination today.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome, sir. Good luck. Benjamin Slaby?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Sir, you were arrested for DUI and leaving the scene of a DUI where there was bodily injury to a person, and there is probable cause for both. PTR says you really don't have any other significant history. So bond in the DUI with personal injury will be stayed at 1,000. Bond in the leaving the scene. Why is that 2,500? Leaving the scene of an accident, maybe with injury or not with it. The damage, leaving the scene with damage is an M2. Leaving the scene with injury is not. Okay, bonds will be stated as recorded, and do not drive unless you know you have a valid license. With that with the refusal, I mean to say, DMV probably suspended you for a year. I don't know for sure, but that's what they usually do. So don't drive until you check with the DMV and make sure, and do not possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs. What did you want to say, sir?
There was a piece of paper that somebody was going to hand me that said I could drive for 10 days. I assume they'll give that
Yeah,
to me. At some
I don't
point.
know if they have it. My point is just double check
Okay.
before you drive, because
Yes, ma'am.
normally they pop you for a year on a refusal.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and you don't need a public defender?
No, ma'am.
Okay, good luck, sir. Stay out of trouble.
Thank you.
They stayed. And just no driving without a valid license and no alcohol or drugs. Jimmy Wright?
No, ma'am.
Hi, Mr. Wright. Sir, you were arrested for possession of alprazolam and possession of cocaine. There is probable cause. 3 failures to appear.
3 who?
That's what the pretrial release says. You have 2 felonies, 7 misdemeanors, 3 failures to appear, 2 unknowns. Last conviction, June of 2017. Florida convictions to include grand theft, resistings, cannabis theft, and burglary. So bonds will be stayed 1,000 count one and 150 count two. Public Defender's Office is appointed. Thank you. And then we have Felicia Edwards.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Miss Edwards. Ma'am, you were arrested on a capias for 2 counts of failure to appear. You do have a bond. They're 1,000 each. Do you already have a lawyer in that case? Do you know?
The lady on the front say yes, but I really don't,
Okay.
I didn't even know about this.
Okay, let me have the clerk look it up real quick. Yeah, you have the Office of the Public Defender already, so I don't have to reappoint them, but you do have a court-appointed lawyer.
Oh.
All right?
And she does have an ice hold, Your Honor. We just
Okay.
Put that on the record.
Thank you. All right, ma'am, thank you.
That's it?
Tony Smith? Hello, are you Mr. Smith?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Smith, you were arrested on a capias for failure to appear. The judge actually gave you a $500 bond, so you do have a bond. Do you already have a lawyer?
Yeah, Robert,
Wesley?
Wesley, yeah.
Okay.
Williams, Robert Williams.
Public
but
Defender's Office is
I
there.
was in the hospital when I was,
Just give all that info to your public defender and they'll know what to do with it, okay? Thank you, Mr. Smith. Shayla Mitchell?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Ms. Mitchell.
Hello.
Ms. Mitchell, you have 3 different booking reports, so let me see what we've got here. We have a DUI, a resisting without, and then it looks like a VOP out of county from Marion County. So there is probable cause. Let me look at your history real quick. Your bond in the DUI will stay 500. Don't drive until you know for sure that your license is valid. Your breath alcohol supposedly was right at .08 and .082, so the DMV probably suspended you for 6 months, but I don't know for sure. So don't drive until you
Yes, ma'am.
check on that. The resisting is stayed at 500 as well, but the VOP from Marion is a 0. So we're gonna let Marion know that you're here. I don't know. They probably won't come get you unless you post on these other 2. So if you post on these, then you're able to go and deal with the VOP over there. All right? I can appoint the public defender for our cases, but not for the Marion County case. Do
Okay.
you need a PD for our cases?
Yes.
Okay, PD's appointed. Thank you. And are you Zaire Stanley? What's your
No,
name?
Keith.
Keith, okay, the next one I had was Zaire Stanley. Did they
Do
bond?
you have a booking number for him, Your Honor? I can check if they bonded.
They did bond?
I can check
Oh.
if you have the booking number.
I don't know
I have
what the
to-
booking number is. I have a citation number and a case number, but I don't know what would be considered the booking number.
They bonded.
Okay, so, thank you. So for the record, Stanley bonded. And then Keith Chilson?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chilson, you were arrested for petty theft, retail theft. There is probable cause. Looks like you're out on bond in 17 MM 1231. Can I assume that's maybe a diversion case? Or a 17 case with a failure to appear of some kind? Because I don't know why a 17 case would still be on bond status.
My review of the file indicated there may have been some competency issues raised.
Okay. And then there's also 17 CF 3968 that you're out on bond for some felony charges. So the petty theft will be stayed at 250, and the 2 cases you're out on bond for will be revoked, set at 0. Public Defender's Office is appointed. Thank you. Heather Gary? No. Mental health, okay. So, Ms. Gary will be reset. For the record, there is probable cause in the file. She needs to hear that, but she does have a bond. So she's a reset. Dennis Gonzalez? Okay. For the record, Dennis Junior Gonzalez, the court finds that he's voluntarily waived his right to be present. He is not cooperating and was a behavior issue and therefore was not able to be brought. He was arrested for petty theft. There is probable cause. Bond is stayed at $500, no return. William Leroy?
Here.
Thank you. Mr. Leroy, you were here for a trespass after warning. There is probable cause. It looks like you're also out in 19 MM 4622 on a trespass and a false ID. So I find probable cause for the new law arrest. Your bond is stayed at 500, and 19 MM 4622 will be revoked and set at 0. Public Defender's Office is appointed. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Todd Phillip?
Yes, Your Honor.
Hi, Mr. Phillip. Sir, you were arrested for obstructing or interfering with the flow of traffic, soliciting without a permit. There is probable cause. 8 failures to appear, 34 misdemeanors, including multiple county ordinance, extensive solicitations, multiple disorderlies, panhandling without a permit, unlawful use of right-of-way, multiple, trespass, multiple, resisting, multiple. So, sir, you do have a bond in this case. This is something that is pleable, right? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. In Orange County, you can plea these.
I believe so, yes.
Yes,
Okay.
I believe so.
All right. Mr. Phillip, if you want to plead, and you're not obligated to, but my offer's 5 days with credit for 2. Do you want to consider that, or do you
Sure,
wish
yeah.
to say no? Either way, it's completely up to you, sir. You have the right to make the state file the charges and prove those charges against you. For the record, he appears to be signing the plea form. Mr. Phillip, can you raise your right hand for me, sir? Do you swear to tell the truth, so help you God? Sir, do you promise to tell me the truth? I can't
Very
hear you.
soft-spoken.
I do.
Thank you, sir. Please lower your hand and say your name.
Todd.
Sir, if you can look up here, I have this plea form that was just passed up to me that has your name on it. Did you sign this?
Yes.
Did you read everything?
Yes.
Do you understand the rights that are in the
Yes.
form?
Yes.
Okay, do you have any questions for me?
No.
Do you need any time to speak with the public defender?
No.
Do you feel like anybody forced you to make the decision you're making here today?
No.
Are you acting under the influences of any medications, drugs, or alcohol? If you are not a U.S. citizen, entering a plea would be used as a reason to have you deported. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Are you willing to waive your rights and enter this plea?
Yes.
How do you plead?
No contest.
Okay. State, based on what is contained in the police report of which the court will take judicial notice, if this were to proceed to charging and then trial, would you be able to show that on September 14th, 2019 in Orange County, Florida, within the city limits of the city of Orlando, this defendant was soliciting for handouts and while doing so was obstructing traffic?
Yes, Your Honor.
Does the defense wish to dispute? Sir, I find that you are alert, that you're intelligent, that you understand that your plea is freely and voluntarily entered, that I have a sufficient factual basis, so I will accept it. It would be an adjudication of guilt, 5 days in the county jail with credit for 2. He didn't fill out the form, so it's 268. I don't have one. Maybe you have it, but I don't.
I don't have it.
So it would be 268? What's the fee with no PD application?
This is considered a traffic case.
Oh, okay.
It's 306.
So the court cost, the clerk is telling me is 306, pay within 365 days. You have 30 days to appeal. All appeals must be in writing. If you cannot afford a lawyer, I'll appoint one if you qualify. David Stager?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Stager, you're arrested for trespass in a structure or conveyance. There is probable cause. Is there a PTR sheet on him? Do you have a PTR sheet on him, Mr. Stager?
Yes, sure.
Oh, I found it. There was an extra one in the middle here. Thank you. 1 failure to appear does not qualify for PTR. Florida convictions: resisting, larceny, trespass, extensive, fleeing and eluding, Willis. Last conviction, August 31st, 2019 for trespass. Okay? Sir, your bond is stated $1,000. The public defender's office is appointed. Thank you. Renal Fen Rosario? Is it then space Rosario or then Rosario?
Then space Rosario.
Because they wrote it all together, so I wasn't sure. Okay, so I would say Mr. Then?
Yes.
Do you go by Then or Rosario?
Rosario.
Rosario, okay. Mr. Rosario, you were arrested for petty theft, for retail theft. There is probable cause. No failures to appear, that's good. How long have you been living in the Orlando area?
About like since 2009.
Do you have family here?
Not really.
Okay. You don't qualify for PTR, so I can't put you on PTR.
Is that, pardon me, Your Honor, what is that?
Pretrial release is sometimes a program that people won't have to pay a cash bond or any kind of bond. They could be released on supervision, but you have to qualify for it. So that was my first instinct.
All
But you
right.
don't qualify for it. They said you don't qualify. So your bond is $250. Do you need a public defender? Because I don't have an affidavit. No?
No.
No? Okay. Thank you. Do you keep these? No? Okay, so I can trash those too? Okay. And Jerwan Webster?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Mr. Webster. Sir, it looks like you were arrested on a warrant out of Polk County. They have you at a no bond. They said you failed to appear. That's all they told me. We'll let them know you're here, and they'll come and pick you up.
How much longer before they pick me up?
Normally, it's quick because Polk County is just a couple counties down, but it could be up to 7 to 10 days.
I thought they said 72 hours.
That's what we shoot for. Yeah, I was just trying to be realistic. Hopefully, it won't be that long for you. Joseph Stagg, sometimes neighboring county 72, but when they're not neighboring, it's a little bit longer. I had to remember we're in Orange County. Are you Mr. Staggs?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is the one that we reset, one of the ones that we've reset from yesterday. State?
Yes, Your Honor. I made efforts to reach out to the lead officer to get the assisting officer's supplemental report. They were unable to provide it to me.
Okay. So, Mr. Staggs, as I told you yesterday, you were arrested for grand theft, possession of methamphetamine, possession of cannabis, possession of paraphernalia. I don't find probable cause for counts 2, 3, and 4 at this time. Those counts will all be ROR'd. The grand theft will be stayed at 1,000. And I think we may have ordered the public defender yesterday, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
I believe they were appointed, Your Honor, at least
All
per my notes.
So you just have to post bond on count 1 to get out. Thank you. Carlos Roman Ferrer. Hi, are you Mr. Roman?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So you have a couple of different police reports. You've got a warrant for violation of probation, so that's set at 0. You have a police report for arrest of fleeing and eluding, reckless, and driving unsuspended with knowledge. Then I have a separate police report for VOP, but I think it's the same VOP. I looked at the case numbers, and the case numbers say 18 CF 304AO.
They're both the same. One is a BOP and one is an on-view. I don't know.
Right, well, I mean, you can only be violated once.
I think it's just one case.
Right, so I think what happened was maybe when he got arrested on the new charge, the officer saw that he was on probation and did an on-view, not realizing immediately that he already had a warrant for VOP.
That's probably
So
what
it's only really one.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know how to do that. I would just say, probably I will, not find PC on the on-view based on the new law arrests, just by the way we normally do things, because he's VOP'd on the warrant.
Okay.
And then they'll have to probably file an amended affidavit to include the new law if they want to. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So, there is probable cause on the new law arrests, and your bond in count 1 will be $2,500, your bond in count 2 will be 1,000, your bond in count 3 will be 100, and no driving without a valid driver's license. And the public defender's office is appointed. Thank you. I've seen that a couple of times, and that's why I double-checked it. I read it to make sure that it was the same VOP. And it looks like it was. William Tobin?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Mr. Tobin. Mr. Tobin, you have a couple of different booking reports as well. You have a warrant for violation of probation, and that's set at 0. You have a new law arrest, which is grand theft, dealing in stolen property 2 times, and then 2 false verification of pawnbroker ownership. And then you have an affidavit which looks almost identical that Judge Arendis signed, but I looked at the dates and the dates are different. So there's a warrant for grand theft, dealing in stolen 2 counts, false verification of ownership 2 counts. If you look at the warrant, it's dated August 29th. And the new
Because last time
The new law was, hold on,
Yes, ma'am.
I want to say this right to make sure. No, wait, give me a second. 1, 2. Oh, okay, no. Okay, that is the warrant. What I meant to say was the case he's out on bond for is a different date. They're not the same charges. So this arrest affidavit and then the booking report for the arrest on the warrant are the same. They go together. But he's out on bond in 19 CF 11818 for burglary, possession, burglary tools, and petty theft. And he was out on bond on that one August 23rd, and the affidavit for the new arrest. Oh, my goodness. All right, hold on. I thought I looked at the dates the right way, and I want to do this correctly, so let me just double check this again. Don't want Mr. Tobin to be penalized because I was confused about the dates. Can you pull up 19 CF 12302? Is that something that you can? Okay, the narrative says, on September 14th, I, being the police officer, responded in reference to an attempt to contact. Defendant had 2 Orange County warrants, which were confirmed via teletype. Defendant was arrested and transported to Orange County without incident. Investigation revealed William Joseph Tobin Jr. knew about his warrants. The first warrant was for violation of probation, which is this one, which we know is a 0. Second warrant was for grand theft, 3rd degree, 2 counts DSP, 2 counts false verification of ownership to a second-hand dealer with $3,400 in bonds. Secured Williams in handcuffs, which were checked for proper spacing and double locked. Okay. So, the warrants are the one Judge Arendis signed, and then the VOP, and the affidavit that Judge Arendis read.
Ma'am?
1 second. I'll let you talk, I promise. Let me read this so
I'm
I don't
sorry.
get confused. So, is that still coming up?
What's the number?
19 CF 12302.
1, 2, 3.
That's this new one, right?
Yes.
Okay, and so then can you also look up 19 CF 11818?
1, 1.
818.
You bonded on that.
Yeah, I need to see the warrant or the information with regard Sure. Mhm. Amy Carter. Okay, so for the record, 19 CF 11818 was an arrest made on an affidavit signed by Judge Carter. Counts burglary of conveyance, burglary, possession of burglary tools, and petty theft that were from, go further down, supposedly August 10th, follow-up, auto burglary, arrived on scene. Go next page, please. So it's a different police report altogether than the affidavit that Judge Arendis reviewed. So it's not the same incident. Okay, yes, sir, what did you want to say?
I have a few questions. How long will I be held here for no bond?
Depends until you get your case resolved, because you have a violation of probation. Okay, what's your next question?
I can't even think, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
There's nothing I can be put on for like house arrest or anything like that besides no bond?
You're gonna have to ask the judge in front of whom these cases are pending. They're not gonna be my cases. So the VOP is the one, and then you have the new law warrant for the multiple charges. Those bonds are all stayed. And then 19 CF 11818 will be revoked and set at 0.
Which one is that?
That's the one that I just read off that Judge Carter, that was the open case that you bonded on August 23rd.
So the bond for that's gonna be taken away?
Yes.
So I'll be recharged with that or no?
Well, it's not recharged, you're already charged, you're just not able to be released on it. So, which really is no harm, no foul in the sense that you're on a 0 on the VOP, you're gonna be picking up credit on that
So,
case too, and your lawyer can get all straightened out. PD's office will be appointed.
So once I'm done with VOP, I'll be able to bond out for everything else?
No, you have the one that's revoked, so you have to deal with both of those.
Oh, and for the grand theft auto they just charged me for,
Your lawyer's gonna give you copies of everything, okay? We'll get you copies of that. I can't answer all those questions today, sir. Thank you. They're all stayed. Yeah. Shelton Donald? Are you Mr. Donald?
Nope.
No? Okay. All right, so for the record, Shelton Donald did not wish to be present for his first appearances today. He was a behavior problem for the COs. The court finds that he's voluntarily waived his right to be present. He is in custody for possession of an open container of alcohol within the city limits. There is probable cause and he has a bond. He did not fill out a form for the public defender. Bobby Rowland?
That's me?
Okay, Mr. Rowland, good afternoon. Sir, you were arrested for possession of an alcoholic beverage within the city limits. There is probable cause. I don't know if I have a sheet. Hold on. All right, so I have a PTR sheet for you, sir. PTR says you have 9 failures to appear, 18 felonies, 11 misdemeanors, 78 unknowns, multiple convictions for paraphernalia, drug purchases, trespassing, theft, larceny, burglary, resisting, paraphernalia, concealed weapon, open containers, public drunkenness, resisting. Well, sir, you have 2 options. You can stay in bond status. You can choose to post your bond or not post your bond. That's up to you. You have the right to make the state file the charges against you and prove all of the charges against you. Or you can enter a plea to the bench today if you'd like. If you plead, my offer is 5 days.
I take it.
Okay. Did we get that info? I mean, I know you've been in here with me the whole time, but did we get anything from Osceola? They haven't sent it, or you just don't, they didn't bring it to you?
They haven't sent it.
Okay. Mr. Rowland, can you please raise your right hand for me, sir? Do you swear to tell me the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Please lower your hand and say your name.
Baru.
Is it Ronald or Roland?
Bobby. Roland.
Roland, okay. It's only because this paper that you just handed me, it actually says it wrong on the top. It says Ronald, but you
Oh.
said it's Roland. I have it on the booking report as Roland. No, it's not a problem. It's a common typo. Mr. Roland, I have this plea form here with your name on it. Did you sign this?
Yes.
Did you read it?
No.
Do you want to read it?
No.
Do you understand what rights are in the form?
Yes.
Do you understand by going forward with this plea, you're going to be giving up all the rights that are in the form?
Yes.
You okay with that?
Yes.
What if it says in here that you gotta come mow my lawn for a year and you don't know that because you didn't read it?
I don't know.
But whatever you sign, you're gonna be stuck with. You
Yeah,
wanna
I know.
read this? You want me to give it back to you and you can read it?
Sure.
All right, I'll give it to the CO and then I'll talk to the man behind you. You could step back for a minute, please. I wanna make sure you know what you're doing. And are you Mr. Singleton?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Singleton. Sir, you're also here for open container of alcohol. I read the affidavit, there is probable cause. You also have the right to either choose to post your bond or not post it, or you may enter a plea to the bench at this time. The offer's 5 days. It's completely up to you, sir, what you wish to do.
Yes.
You wanna take the offer? Okay,
Yes.
all right. Can you please raise your right hand for me, sir? Do you swear to tell the truth, so help you God? Thank you, please lower your hand. You said yes, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and please say your name.
Willie Singleton.
Mr. Singleton, I have this plea form with your name on it. Did you sign this?
Absolutely.
Did you read it, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand the rights that are in the form?
Absolutely.
Do you have any questions?
None at this moment.
Do you need any more time to speak with the public defender?
No, I do not.
No? Okay, do you feel like anyone forced you to make the choice you're making here today?
No.
Are you acting under the influences of any types of medications, drugs, or alcohol?
No.
If you are not a U.S. citizen, entering a plea would be used as a reason to have you deported. Do you understand that?
Absolutely.
I have to say that to everybody. Are you willing to waive your rights and enter this plea to resolve your case today?
Yes.
How do you plead?
No contest.
State if we were proceeding in this case and you were to file the appropriate charges, would you be able to show by competent substantial evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that on September 14th, 2019 in Orange County, Florida, this defendant was within the city limits of the city of Orlando in actual possession of an open container of an alcoholic beverage?
Yes, Your Honor.
Does the defense wish to dispute?
No, Your Honor.
Sir, I find that you are alert, that you're intelligent, that you understand that your plea is freely and voluntarily entered, and that I have a sufficient factual basis, and I will accept it. He did fill out the affidavit, so what would be the court cost? 273. Sir, at this time, the court will adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 5 days in the county jail with credit for 2, and order you to pay $273 within 365 days. You have 30 days to appeal. All appeals must be in writing, and if you cannot afford a lawyer, I'll appoint one if you qualify. Good luck, sir. Thank you. Mr. Rowland, not yet. Don't leave me yet. No, we're not through. I gotta ask you some more questions, sir.
Yeah?
Are you all, I have to just ask you a couple more questions.
All right.
For the record, you're still under oath. So the CO is bringing me back the paperwork. Did you have as much time as you wanted to look over that paper?
Yeah.
And do you feel confident that you understand the rights that are in the form?
Yes, I do.
Do you have any questions for me?
No.
Do you need any time to speak with the public defender?
No.
Do you feel like anybody forced you to make this choice?
No.
Are you acting under the influences of any medications, drugs, or alcohol?
No.
If you are not a U.S. citizen, entering a plea would be used as a reason to have you deported. Do you understand?
Yeah.
You don't understand?
Reported war.
If, and I'm not saying you are, but if you were not a citizen, you could be deported. Do you understand that? If you were not a citizen.
Okay, now I understand.
All right, sir. Are you willing to waive your rights and to enter this plea to resolve your case?
Yes.
How do you plead?
Yes, sir.
All right. On September 14th of this year in Orange County, Florida, in the city limits of Orlando, did you possess an open container of alcohol?
Yes.
So I find that you are alert, that you are intelligent, that you understand, that your plea is freely and voluntarily entered, and that I have a sufficient factual basis and I will accept it. It will be an adjudication of guilt, 5 days in the county jail with credit for two, $273 in court costs, 365 days to pay, 30 days to appeal, all appeals in writing, and if you cannot afford a lawyer, I'll appoint one if you qualify. Good luck, Mr. Rowland. Stay out of trouble. Okie dokie. So, that is all we had for Orange County. I would say, for the record, well, I don't know how we're gonna do this, because we're on the Orange County record. I asked the clerk about the one that the public defender who is down in Osceola asked me to address. The clerk has not received any paperwork from PTR at the jail at Osceola. So I've waited, and I told him I would wait until the conclusion, and they've had, it's 1:30 now, they've had from the time we finished Osceola till now to send me that paperwork. I do understand their concern, but I can't do anything without paperwork. So I'll ask just the clerk to double check one more time. Has anything been transmitted from Osceola?
No, I
Okay.
tried calling, I don't even know her number.
PTR, I'll give you back all your sheets. Thank you.
Judge, you handed those too?
Sure, I can hand you these too.
Present.
Lovely the way.
Carmen, this is, Arlene. We were calling about Joseph Cagle. Are you guys gonna send us extra paperwork, or are you gonna resay him for tomorrow? Oh. Okay, well, Pat just sent something, so let me see what she, you didn't get the orders yet? Well, we didn't get no paperwork. Well, she just sent it, so let me see.
Can we hook up the TV again, please?
Progress, so let me.
So for Orange County, we are adjourned. Y'all hear me over there in Osceola? All right, I
Yes,
think,
Judge.
okay, great, thank you. So we're back on the record. State versus Joseph Cagle. Sir, please say your name.
Joseph Cagle.
Okay, so Mr. Cagle, you were arrested for domestic assault. I've read the affidavit, and I would point to the state and ask the state if there's anything that you'd like to be added to the record. It's, he was arrested under Florida statute 784.011.
No, Your Honor, the state doesn't have anything to add.
Okay, so the court has to find that there is no probable cause. The crime of assault requires that any alleged threat of violence be something that creates a well-founded fear in the other person that the violence is imminent. And the police report actually says that the victim, Amy, didn't think that the trash can was being thrown at her. And so she doesn't make any statements in this police report that she was in fear of being hurt by Mr. Cagle, unless the state can point out any other sentences in this police report. I think the primary witness is the one who made the accusations of what she thought Mr. Cagle's intent was, but the statute says that the person who's being assaulted is the one who has to have an imminent, well-founded fear. Now, there may be case law that says otherwise that the state can prove up, but I don't have that before me today. And if the state wants to present any argument with regard to that, I'm open to hearing it.
The state does not have any case law or argument to present at this time. The state would ask for an additional 24 hours to be able to research the issue to present that.
At this time, the court is going to deny the request for the reset. I'm going to release Mr. Cagle ROR. I'm not ordering, but I am going to advise that he probably would not want to have any hostile contact. This is not gonna be on any written order. I'm just advising him that he probably wants to keep his distance from Shaylee and Amy at this time, just to let things work themselves out, or wherever they're gonna go. Do you need a public defender, Mr. Cagle?
Sure.
Well,
Yes, ma'am.
Do you think you have the ability to hire a private attorney?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so the PD will be appointed provisionally. You have 5 days to fill out the affidavit. Just because of the decision that I had to make today doesn't mean that the state attorney's office is not necessarily going forward. I don't know what else they're going to try to say or prove, but this is just a determination of detaining you. All right, so just keep in touch with the public defender's office so you don't miss any future court dates.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Thank you. We are adjourned.